Hi, everyone. Okay, let's talk about Real Housewives of New Jersey Reunion 1. I have my contacts on. I have my glasses on because this is just foolish. Hmm. First off, everyone looks gorgeous, and I'm not going to take that from anybody here. I give them 2 thumbs up on their apparel. Gorgeous, gorgeous, and more gorgeous. Okay. Kind of like get my space organized. Like my head hurts from this space. Anyway, okay, so Teresa receives on cue a call from Joe Judice asking for her to ask Jen's husband Bill about eye work and if he can get it done. He's asking for his, I think his uncle. He's like, I'm not ready. Um, there's been quite a bit of talk saying that this was on purpose. I don't know. I don't know if it was on purpose or not. I don't really have an opinion on on either of that. So, does it seem a bit presumptuous here? A bit planted? Yeah, yeah, okay. But for what purpose? That is the $1,000,000 question that I can't answer. But moving on, Teresa wants him. Oh, this is just, I do not like this. She asked Andy to feel her heart. Like it's just racing. Okay. I don't see why that's pertinent information. So we move on. Um, Andy asked, what is the goal for Melissa and Teresa? And they both, Teresa's like, I just want to close this up and just let it go. Melissa's like, I want to let it go. Now, Teresa makes a comment that has been making the rounds on Twitter about how she says this is going to be the last time that she sees Melissa's face. And then Melissa's just like, mm, okay, well, you have a couple more hours. Now, people are insinuating, like, who is she to do this? Teresa, like, how dare she does this? She doesn't have the authority to do this. Now, I actually want to take it from another perspective. I think that Teresa, she went on Carlos King podcast, and Teresa made a declaration that number one, she has finally watched the show and she's beginning to make an analysis on what has happened over the years. And I actually do believe that she doesn't watch the show. Because if you go back and look at how she operates from one season to the next season, it makes perfectly sense because there's a lot of times that you're like, ah, Teresa, why are you doing this? And you become really perplexed at why she's making the decision she's making. And I can, and for the first time, it feels like she is more informed going into this reunion than she has in previous seasons. So I do think that she's having an aha moment where a lot of the decisions she's made or the things that she's done in the past, it doesn't add up and to what is currently taking place. And so she is, I think she's kind of finally discovered, or she's finally kind of read the book. She's kind of finally watched the show and discovered how much she wants to relitigate the past because she wasn't really able to litigate the past because she went off of what it was like being on the show. So she went off of what people have been saying to her on the show and living that experience. But she wasn't going off of watching the show and living the experience. And now she is. And now she wants to go back 10 years, 12 years, to go back to stuff that has already been discussed. And people are like, well, why are you bringing this up? Because she's finally watched the show and she's been sitting back thinking. And so Melissa shares the same goal of she just wants to let everything go and end at peace. I say all this because I really do think that Teresa has now discovered that she's put Bravo in a corner to where one of us has to do something. Like, we're not going to coexist on this show. So you either get rid of Teresa, and if you're going to get rid of Teresa, I think she's put them in a corner where she's daring them to get rid of her. Mhm. And if you're going to get rid of her, you better put her on another show, is what she's saying. You want to get rid of me? Cool. But put me on another show. And then, um, so this is, I think Bravo's in a very awkward spot. And I don't know how Bravo moves forward, to be perfectly honest. Like, Bravo, what do you plan on doing? You're either going to drop Melissa, because I do think that, I honestly think that she either cornered them by saying make a decision, or she has made, she's had conversations behind the scenes like, I'm not coming back if Melissa's not here. If Melissa's here, I'm not coming back. And if I am not coming, like, I think that this is, talks have been had without Melissa being there. And I'm gonna be honest, I think Melissa thinks that that's not happening, or her reaction is kind of like, yeah, we'll see, because she doesn't believe that Teresa has that kind of power. And I think that Teresa does have that influence. And if she doesn't, I do think that Teresa needs her own cooking show. She's going to end up because the issue that Melissa's going to have, that if Teresa does get, is the one that leaves the show and Melissa stays, they're absolutely going to pry more into her private life. So neither one of these, and if neither one of these are going to be good, because you're going to start investigating all of the lawsuits and the criminal accusations that are coming on Melissa and Joe, mostly Joe. They're going to start investigating more of the allegations of Melissa cheating, because you can't say that it's coming from Teresa because Teresa's not there. So I think that y'all need to I honestly think that what the best solution would have been, I think Melissa played this wrong. I think Melissa should have played it to where I think Melissa should have played this out. And yeah, I think Melissa should have played this out. And they should have played it to where she could possibly like figure out a way to be okay with Teresa. We ain't gotta be cool, but we could have been okay. And I don't think that she played it out well at all. Because if she's a season without Teresa, the ratings are probably going to drop. Another season with Teresa and Melissa together feuding, the ratings are going to drop. And the only way to pick this up again is Melissa and Joe telling more about what's really happening with them. And I don't think that they want to. I think it's safe to just choose the storyline of Melissa versus Teresa. That being said, I think that this Melissa tried to come out and with a bunch of evidence to contradict Teresa. And it did appear, especially the pushback on saying that Teresa and Louis was around Melissa and Joe a lot and around Melissa's family, which is why they expected an invitation. So, and then they show all these pictures. But I think, honestly, what I think refueled a lot of these issues is, I'm sorry, y'all. But I think what refueled a lot of these issues is simply the fact that Teresa is rewatching past episodes. And so she can't get over something that she didn't even realize that was happening. Andy asked Teresa why Dina wasn't in the wedding, and Teresa's like she doesn't want to be filmed, and they could have, and then so they're like, well, we could have signed something. Now, interestingly enough, Dina did come out and speak about the fact that she doesn't want to be involved with no way at all with Real Housewives of New Jersey. And and it had nothing to do with Louis, and they still have a really good relationship. So it's interesting that Teresa first is like, look, Louis and Dina's boyfriend, husband, did not have anything but dealing with business. Melissa's like, it was a private conversation that Joey had, and he shouldn't have said anything. And I'm more inclined to believe Dina, because Dina don't care about nothing. And Dina does not live in New Jersey. And I actually think that Dina probably would have came back to the wedding in New Jersey. And I know how people are getting really messy online and giving all of the issues of what was going on with Dina, especially the issues with Dina and Caroline. They've been attacked in their house, etc. But the issue that I think she would have came back, but I think that it became like if you watching this season, to me, I feel like it is beyond toxic as a person who watched it. Now, if I take it a step back, I can only imagine what it was like behind closed doors and how toxic it is and how, and I wonder if Joe didn't say anything, um, which would have say anything more about this, which would then to Dina's partner, that would have led even more to her like, look, I'm not getting in the middle of this. I also think that Dina doesn't want to get in the middle of the issues between even though she is not a big fan of Melissa. I don't think that she wants to get in the mix of this Melissa and Teresa feud, especially since Melissa wasn't invited to be in the wedding. So now we have more uh, we jump onto why Melissa's family should have been invited. I really don't care about this. Like, I'm so tired of this topic. Louis wanted to, now they're bringing up that Louis definitely wanted to get on the show. And Louis was talking to Joe about flying to the ultimate, to that girls trip TV show. I didn't watch the Real Housewives of that ultimate girls trip where Teresa and Melissa was on there. And Teresa's like, yeah, he doesn't really want to be on the show. I don't think that's true. But I believe that Joe and Louis wanted to be on the show. I don't believe that Louis didn't want to be on the show. I think that Teresa wants to believe that because that's probably what he said. But I don't believe that to be accurate. I don't think that Louis is a good guy. And I've said that. But Teresa is 50 years old, right? Yeah, she's 50 years old. Over 50. I'm sure she has a prenup. If the relationship doesn't work, oh wow. Like she's grown. So I don't see what anyway. Teresa thinks, yeah, I said this before, that this whole, they can't coexist together and they can't coexist on the show. And I know that people are saying that Melissa's bringing receipts and she's going hard on this reunion, but my issue is that her entire topic, and this is, like she brings up, Melissa brings up, well, Teresa starts it by saying, look, your entire storyline was me. And Melissa's like, no, your entire storyline was me. Oh, yeah, no. Teresa's entire storyline was the wedding. You come, every time there's a mention of a wedding, you come with a sourpuss face and it redirects our energy back to you. Now, I was tired of the wedding discussion the entire time of the series. Two things are true. I was tired of the talk about the wedding, and then I was tired of Melissa talking about the wedding and feeling slighted about the wedding. But there wasn't absolutely one scene that Teresa and Louis' name wasn't mentioned. There are many scenes with Teresa that Melissa's name was not mentioned, unless somebody else mentioned it, but she not coming out of her mouth. Margaret and Danielle kind of interrupted. Oh yeah, Margaret. Danielle to defend Teresa. Rachel tells Danielle, like, no, you can go. I don't like Rachel. I do not. I mean, we bring up another topic again about Danielle and the brother. Danielle's like, well, I was supposed to see him today because my grandmother's wake was today. Everyone gives condolences except Rachel. I don't remember Margaret, but for sure Rachel. And Andy's like, Margaret, you really like to hit below the belt with some of these comments that she wants peace to the family. And then Rachel's like, well, she won't take accountability. See, this is the problem. I'm sure you did something. You won't take accountability at all. Um, and brings up her brother once again. Danielle's like, I thought we were friends with Rachel. And then Rachel turns around. Yeah, I thought we were too until I heard how you talked about me in the confessional. You called me a B, you did this, you did that. And I was just like, well, she was right. So what are we upset about? Dolores just resolved the tension with them and they can get behind this issue. And I thought that was nice. Oh yeah. Marv's talking about how much she liked Danielle and she was there to help. And they were like, isn't this she did get blown out of proportion? She was like, yeah, it was, the conversation wasn't as big as it was. And they're like, yeah, but you were talking about the entire season. Yeah, the entire season, because y'all had nothing else to talk about. Melissa's like, well, I really want to make friends with Danielle. And Teresa's like, yeah, you were trying to bring her to your side. And Melissa's like, well, you were trying to be friends with Rachel. Um, and Rachel was like, yeah, but I don't want to be her friend, Teresa's friend. Like, um, Teresa did say, and Mark was like, I tried to help Danielle. I didn't see where any of this was coming. Teresa does interject and was like, well, Marge, you didn't try to help me, but you'll help the new person. And I was just like, I don't get that part. Um, Danielle was annoyed because she felt like Marge and Jackie talked about her hair, the way she talks, the way she dresses, everything. And then there was like this little comment about endorsements, and Jackie's like, look, I don't need endorsements. I'm going to be rich before and after this show. Now, here's the thing. There are comments online about her saying that she's rich or she's rich adjacent because her husband makes money. Let me say something. She's been married to this man at the beginning when he was doing residency. She's been married to this man for quite a long time. She is getting 50% of everything. She's a stay-at-home wife. She takes care of all of the kids. If they get divorced, not only will she get half, um, she would be getting a financial check, a substantial check every month, plus child support, spousal support. So if she stays married or if she divorces, she's gonna be rich before and she's gonna be rich after. There is no rich adjacent. It's called marriage. People need to understand the difference between marriage and a boyfriend and girlfriend. Boyfriend and girlfriend, you're rich adjacent. Marriage, he rich, she rich. If she's rich and he's not rich and they married, they rich. Vice versa. This is how this goes. Um, I don't care about that. Melissa has a new house. Only Rachel and Marge has been to the house. Okay. Teresa was annoyed. She was like, yeah, your question was a setup about did Melissa's daughter go to the Sweet 16? And Melissa's like, kids are off limit. And so Andy asked her, like, well, you said the kids are off limit, but you talk about the kids, not just on your podcast, but you said that hate and heart. So then I'm trying, Teresa. And then it goes into this whole, well, we were there for you. Your brother came to, and Teresa's like, yeah, my brother came to jail once. And they're like, yeah, you only approved your brother coming right before the show came on. And There's evidence all online that that's not true. He just doesn't come, except until the TV show. So Jen, so now we're going to this conversation. Now they seem to cover it up. Marge made a joke. Now let me say something. My friends would not make this joke about the fact that you can date somebody else or dump your husband for somebody else. I don't see where that's funny. Does anyone find this funny? Because I don't see, I missed the joke. But the joke is supposed to be that this is supposed to be the joke that Melissa could be with the ball player. And I don't like how Jen keeps pulling up Laura and she's like, well, aren't you blocking your friend from getting on the show? And Andy admits, like, no, she's been wanting to get on the show. Marge has been helping her get on the show for the last couple seasons. And for whatever reason, Laura just can't get on the show. Then it gets into how did Melissa get on the show? And Andy's like, I don't recall. But see, here's the thing. Nobody said that she was contacting Andy. Everyone said that she was contacting Carlos. And Carlos does admit that not only did she contact him, they're all in the DMs. And Andy was like, Melissa was cute, Joe was funny, and Melissa had a stairwell that was just like Teresa's. Put her on the show. It ends with Teresa being like, look, Joe's ex-partner was the one who contacted the FBI. And Melissa's like, oh, come on. So people are annoyed because she went back and got this verified from Jacqueline. And we know that Jacqueline and Teresa ended on a bad note. But Teresa and Jacqueline has gotten back together and has talked for a very long time. Jacqueline can't hold water. So telling Jacqueline the secret is kind of humorous to me. So, and she thinks, and everyone thinks that Melissa and Joe, well, I don't want to say everyone, but the information that Teresa has received implicates that Melissa and Joe are the people that cooperated with the FBI. Here's the thing, and I've said this before, none of these people know how to be honest. So we're stuck. We're stuck with not knowing who to believe, who should we believe, what makes sense. I can't help you, I can't tell you, I don't know. What I do know is that I would love for Teresa to have pulled some evidence, to pull out some like text messages, emails, something, so that we could really get the ball rolling on this conversation. But I don't think we're going to get that. So here we are. And on that note, we have 2 more parts because I don't know how 2 more parts is going to work. But we have 2 more parts of this conversation that is essentially going to go nowhere. So have a good rest of your day, and I will see you all. I think Friday for Bell Collective.